What is the sluttiest thing you have ever done? I'm female. Just shouted to my guy, honey, what's the sluttiest thing you've ever done? You. Got a smooth handy in the back of my GFS car while her mom drove us home. Jizzed in my pants. I'm a guy. I have a lot of stories. I posted this one a while ago. Went to a concert. Girl starts dancing up on me. When the concert is over we head to a parking garage and start making out. She blows me in the stairwell and says afterwards, well, that's the most f***ed up thing I've ever done. I walk her to find her ride and her mother pulls up. We've been looking everywhere for you, she says. Then she notices me and says, oh, thank you for looking after her. I give her a little nod and a wave, turn the corner and start booking it. I once ate a banana in one bite without losing eye contact with my friends. I'm male. I don't know if this counts, but I unintentionally peed in a girl's mouth while getting a whiskey on a bathroom floor. I didn't know I peed a bit until she swallowed and said, wow, that was a lot of cum. I was so drunk that I was nowhere near finishing. I didn't realize what happened till the next day. Female. Went on a second date to see I'm Number 4. The movie was so terrible. About 45 minutes in I leaned over to the guy and told him, if we leave now, I will let you touch my b. Later married him. I still let him touch my b. On the 4th this year I went to a party only knowing this one girl I had just reconnected with. We drank whiskey. I ended up making out with her, her sister, and her boyfriend. I'm male. Well, I'm a guy. Worst I've ever done was catching a slow blow from my ex outside of a party, walking back into said party, only to run into a girl I hadn't seen in years. Jokingly said, wanna go outside, or what? Charming, I know, and to all surprise she excitedly says yes, and drags me out behind a garage and we get down. A couple hours later I'm getting ready to leave, and a third girl wants to come over and crash at my place. So that happened. It was a weird night. Male. Got really wasted at a club. According to rumors I made out with 4 girls, one of them being one of my teachers. I only remember the girl with which I woke up on the kitchen floor of her best friend's apartment. We knocked over her spice rack. Male. One morning in my drinking days I woke up in a strange girl's bed, found my way out and went home. Went out drinking again that night, blacked out, and woke up in a different strange girl's bed the next morning. As I stumbled my way out, I realized the apartment looked familiar, then noticed the previous morning's girl making coffee in the kitchen. Yep. Went home with roommates 2 nights in a row without even knowing. Well, I was having a Skype sesh late at night with a buddy. We were both frustrated because it was taking too long to come. So we both drove a half an hour at 3 o'clock in the morning and had sex for an hour on a blanket outside a museum. I got home at 5, fell asleep, woke up late for class, didn't have time to shower, went to school with cum all over me. Girl here. When I was 14 I was introduced to a group of friends who were going through a phase of constantly making out with each other. Before that day I'd only kissed one boy on the lips once. There was a guy and 2 girls, and within a few hours of meeting them, I'd made out with all of them, including 2 3-way makeout sessions. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Guy here. Went to a club, music wasn't so good, so I got pretty bored. A girl starts flirting with me. I wasn't really that attracted to her, but I thought what the hell, and went with it anyway. She got me a bit drunk, we danced and made out, and she convinced me to go to my car. We had awkward car sex. She kept a condom in her boot. Something tells me she planned on getting laid that night, and then I walked her back to the club, and then went home. Didn't bother exchanging phone numbers. The weirdest part was when out of the blue she asked me what my psychometrics test score, kinda like the SAT, was, and then bragged that her score was 1 point higher. Met a girl from my country while on vacation. We got each other drunk and f***ed. Never really talked with her after that. That was how I lost my virginity. I'm a girl, and I had sex in a church. Twice with 2 different guys. Neither of them were my boyfriend. Also, both times we had to break in to do it. So, along with committing the crime of breaking and entering, I also sealed my eternity in hell. Wasn't even drunk. Not the worst, but when I was 18 I went interrailing around Europe. We got into a routine of going to the most popular club crawls in many major cities, Prague, Budapest, Berlin, Brussels, Cologne etc. By the end of the trip it felt like I drunkenly made out with someone from every country in Europe, most of whom I would be hard pressed to remember the faces of today. Good times. Would recommend. Eartha Kitt, when I mailed her in an airplane bathroom. One time while I was a DJ at a popular strip club in Philadelphia, I was basically forced to ejaculate on my boss's face to keep my job. I quit 2 weeks later. It was too awkward saying hello to her in a respectful manner after that. Fun at the time though. A friend, because my vibe was out of batteries. Not a high moment for me. Last month 3 girls were over my house. I kissed each of them individually, then they kissed each other. Then they flashed me. Then I kissed all 3 of them at the same time. Then I made out with one of them. This was my first legit kiss and first time seeing in a sexual context in person. Got a bit horny whilst out with a buddy and got it on in a former underpass filled with sand. Some of it had fallen out, making a little cave caught the eye of a passing man walking his dog. Beat off same buddy in a full car driven by his brother. No one noticed. Or they've kept quiet. Female. I had a male friend who worked as a bee prostitute and used to host parties. Think short bus movie. The crowd was usually a mix of about 12 to 20 people, most of them regular attendees, and I'd fool around with a few. Lots of touching, kissing. I'd maybe f**k 1 or 2 guys, suck some titties, or fist a girl. I had my preferred people to play with there, and it was all safe, sane, consensual all the time, and everybody was really cool. Well, one night as we lazed on his bed talking, he mentioned that my birthday was coming up and asked me what I wished for as a gift. I jokingly told him I wanted 1 inch of for every year I'd been alive. At mid-30s, that didn't seem too crazy inch-wise. Fast forward to the next month, my birthday month, and I show up at the party. Odd that no other girls were there, just a room full of hot guys in all shapes and sizes. I sat down to talk to one of my favorite regular guys, and up walks my friend with a shot glass and a bottle of Patron. He leans over and whispers in my ear, "They're all for you. You can have your wish, or we can just chill and have some drinks. Your choice." I looked around the room, thinking that I was out of my mind for even considering it. But then I grabbed the shot glass and the tequila, knocked one back, then leaned over and kissed my friend. That set in motion 3 of the best hours of my life. I hesitate to use the term gangbang because that sounds just nasty and dirty, not at all what my experience was. So many hands and mouths everywhere made me orgasm before I even touched a. I had every one of their cocks inside my pussy in my mouth before we were finished, and my tits were covered in. Most of the guys were B or B friendly, so there was a bit of fluffing going on, which was totally hot to watch too. Personally, I don't think what I did was slutty, because it was a fantasy that I had the opportunity to fulfill, and I made a conscious decision to do it. Luckily, I had a friend, with other friends, who made the experience truly fantastic. But I can see how other people might think it was slutty and judge me for it. I don't regret it at all, but I do worry that someday, if/when I have dementia, I'll run around hollering about the time I got f***ed by 13 hot guys, lol. And I'd like to say that I wouldn't recommend everybody fulfill this kind of fantasy if he/she has it. You really have to know yourself well, both mentally and emotionally, and you absolutely must have the right people to do it with. No immaturity, no jealousy, no light of day regrets. One wrong person in the mix and you can napalm your entire life. I had a girlfriend, but was having some questions about myself. Get an app similar to Grindr and meet up with a guy for a few beers, who is as old as my dad, before I follow him back to his place and I make out, suck and have anal intercourse as a bottom, all for the first time. Holy sh*, did I figure out some things about myself. I broke up with my girlfriend after that, not telling her what I had done before that went any further. Glad I didn't get married or whatever, but I definitely went through a mini slut phase after that as well. Went from thinking I was borderline asexual to having a very high libido almost overnight. No throwaway, because no shame. I had drunk with 7 different girls over 5 days because of a competition. So about a year ago I was at the Roskilde Festival in Denmark, a music festival that you sleep at for a week, in a camp with 10 metalheads, where the alpha guy announced the annual tour the P, which is a stupid competition on who can get laid the most during the course of the festival. I made it into a little game. Every night I'd go to a campfire and just chill out alone, with a beer or two. Usually at some point a group of girls would come up to me, and I'd bone none of them. This went on, without me really thinking about it as a big deal. But after 5 days, I woke up and cried. I had had sex with 7 different girls, and I couldn't remember any of their faces or names. Me being hungover, I felt like shit. Sex can be both fun and beautiful, but having sex for the numbers isn't at all great. My now girlfriend calls me a manslut from time to time because of it. Oh, and I got an STD. Fuck that. Went out one Saturday night and got into some weird private club because I was sort of dating the DJ at the time. I remember a whole lot of drugs and free booze, and then suddenly it was 6 hours later and I woke up in the passenger seat of a car I didn't own on the opposite side of town. Hours later I made it back to my place with a hangover I thought would literally kill me. Sent out a sat to my tube and friends offering a BJ in exchange for vitamin water. One came through with not 1, but 2 vitamin waters. So obvs I f***ed him while watching DC Cupcake on Netflix. I'm female. Throwaways. We are doing this live. I was at a toga party freshman year of university. Small town, so you see everybody all the time. I got nice and drunk and started making out with a cute girl who had been hitting on me a bit on the couch right in the middle of the party. Well, this led to that, and she started getting real aggressive. So I asked if she wanted to leave. She stopped, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "No, let's give them a show they'll never forget." I cannot describe to you the tone and look she gave me well enough, but she made me go from partial whiskey to full on battle cruiser mode. We stripped each other right there and went at it like rabbits for about 40 minutes with the entire party watching and cheering us on. I had my first time having sex about 6 months before this. I got 4 different girls' number that very night after we finished, and 5 more over the course of the next week who just walked up to me and handed it to me without saying much. For the rest of the year I spent at that university before transferring, every single person on campus knew who I was and what I had done, and this was both good and bad.